Pause, Tommy the Limping Cat. In a quiet corner of New York City, right in front of an old bookstore, there sat a small limping cat every day. His name was Tommy. He walked with a little limp on his right leg, so everyone called him Limping Tommy. But Tommy never minded. In fact, he was the favorite of the whole neighborhood. When he was a kitten, Tommy had been hit by a car. The bookstore owner, Mr. Rogers, found him lying in the street and took him in. With care and love, he helped Tommy recover. Since then, Tommy had become the bookstore's guardian and friend. Every morning when the shop opened, Tommy would sit by the door, greeting everyone with a gentle meow and a wag of his tail. Children loved him. They would stop by after school to give him milk or biscuits. Tommy somehow knew exactly when they'd come. He'd always be waiting on the same wooden bench, like a little furry clock. One snowy evening, when the streets were empty and quiet, a lost little girl named Ellie came shivering to the bookstore. Tommy limped toward her, slowly but bravely. Ellie was scared at first, but Tommy rubbed against her legs and purred softly. Mr. Rogers saw them and rushed outside, bringing both of them in from the cold. With hot chocolate for Ellie and warm milk for Tommy, the bookstore filled with warmth and laughter again. From that day on, Tommy wasn't just the bookstore's cat. He became Ellie's best friend too. Everyone in the city came to know that even though Tommy limped, his heart was the strongest of all. The bookstore's old red door creaked open wider, and flowers began to bloom on Maple Street, where Tommy lived. Tommy had become even more famous now. Tourists who visited New York came to take pictures with the limping bookstore cat. Mr. Rogers even put up a small sign in front of the shop. Meet Tommy, the heart of Maple Street bookstore. But Tommy didn't care about fame. What he loved most was sitting by the window beside Ellie, who now came to the shop every afternoon to do her homework. Tommy would curl up beside her notebook, purring softly as the sun warmed their faces. One afternoon, as the city buzzed outside, a sudden shout broke the peace. "Fire! There's a fire next door!" someone screamed. Mr. Rogers ran out. Thick smoke was rising from the bakery beside the bookstore. People gathered in panic. In the rush, no one noticed that Ellie's small kitten doll, her favorite toy, had fallen inside the burning bakery when she dropped her school bag. Ellie cried out, "My kitty! My kitty's inside!" Before anyone could stop him, Tommy dashed forward. Limping but lightning fast, he slipped through the smoke, disappearing inside the bakery. Everyone gasped. Moments felt like hours. Then, out of the thick gray smoke, Tommy reappeared. Coughing, covered in ash, but holding the little cloth kitten in his mouth. The crowd cheered as Mr. Rogers wrapped him in a blanket. Ellie hugged him tight, tears of joy streaming down her face. From that day on, Maple Street didn't just know Tommy as the limping cat. They called him Tommy the Brave, the cat with the limp but a lion's heart. And every spring after that, when flowers bloomed along the street, people would stop by the bookstore, smile at the sign, and whisper, door had faded a little, the old clock above the shelves ticked slower, and Tommy's fur had turned silver around his whiskers. He still limped the same way, proudly, but now he spent more time napping in the sunlit window, his tail curled like a question mark. Ellie had grown up. She was no longer the scared little girl from the snowy night. She was now a young writer, working part-time in Mr. Rogers' bookstore. Every morning, she'd greet Tommy, scratch his chin, and whisper, "Good morning, hero." Tommy would blink slowly, his way of saying, "Good morning, my friend." One rainy evening, when thunder rolled outside and the city lights flickered, Ellie was closing the shop when she noticed something strange. A heavy, dusty book had fallen from the highest shelf, one that no one had touched for years. The title read, "The Book of Dreams." Curious, Ellie opened it. Inside were blank pages, except for one, which now had words forming slowly, as if being written by invisible hands. It said, "To the one with courage, kindness, and love, your friend's dreams live forever." Suddenly, the room filled with a soft, golden light. Tommy, who had been asleep by the window, lifted his head and looked at Ellie. His eyes sparkled, brighter than she had ever seen. The pages of the book began to glow, and faint images appeared. Tommy rescuing her from the snow, running through the fire, greeting the children, and sitting by her side through every season. Ellie's tears fell on the page. "You've always been my miracle, Tommy," she whispered. Tommy slowly stood up, limped to her lap, and rested his head. Outside, the rain stopped, and a soft moonbeam filled the shop. That night, Tommy closed his eyes for the last time, purring peacefully. But the next morning, when Ellie opened the Book of Dreams, a new page had appeared, drawn in gentle golden ink. It read, "Don't be sad, Ellie. I'm still here, in every story, in every heart that dares to be kind." Years later, Maple Street Bookstore became famous for a new book, Tommy the Limping Cat, written by Ellie Rogers. And people still say if you visit the shop on a quiet night, you might hear a faint purr near the window. The sound of a brave little cat who never stopped dreaming.